Challenge. We're going to go right to Nick Zetell.
We just heard a
Nick,
kidnapping.
thanks for calling in.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah, that's me.
It's working.
How's everyone doing?
Yes,
Okay.
we have
Hi, Nick.
connected with the outside world.
All right, so what's going on this weekend? Tell us, break it down for us. What should everybody expect, and give us some background and why this is such an exciting event.
Okay, so this is the 43rd annual Hash Bash. This is one of the longest-running political rallies in the country. This year, we've decided to extend it to 2 hours. The last 2 years, we had it at an hour and a half. This year, we're at 2 hours. We're going to try to give the marijuana community, whether it be medical marijuana or those with a vested interest in legalization, a platform to exercise their voice and their right to free speech. This event was, if you're not too familiar with the history, it's got a beautiful, rich history that goes back to 1971 and even predates a little bit before then, when John Sinclair first got busted for not selling 2 joints to an undercover federal agent in Detroit. And so he served almost 2 years of a 9.5 to 10 year sentence. And after the John Sinclair Freedom Rally on December 7th of 1971, that had all sorts of great political figures and great musicians, such as Detroit's own Commander Cody and Stevie Wonder. Jerry Rubin was there, Allen Ginsberg, Abby Hoffman, and of course John Lennon and Yoko Ono. John Sinclair was actually incarcerated at this time. After this, the Michigan Supreme Court released John Sinclair just a couple days after that. They really had no choice. And during the months that followed, the Michigan's prohibitive marijuana laws were basically wiped off the book because the classification as a narcotic was unjust, and it was ruled unconstitutional on the grounds that punishments were cruel and unusual. So that inspired the community at large in Ann Arbor to rally on the Diag and have a giant smoke down on April Fool's Day, 1972, a couple days before the reclassification of marijuana in Michigan. Over the years, the event has gone through several different waves. It's seen, less than 100 people. It's seen almost 10,000 people. This year, we're hoping to have as big of a crowd as ever. The last few years have had a really great turnout, especially with the much-needed revitalization of the marijuana movement that the 2008 Michigan Medical Marijuana Act passage provided us. I'm really excited. We have 2 state representatives speaking. Also, we have Ann Arbor City Councilwoman and mayoral candidate Sabre Briere speaking. John Sinclair will be back, and as will Adam Brooke, who was the MC for about 20 years before he was incarcerated after an unjust raid at his residence in Royal Oak. So we're really excited. We're trying to give decision makers and activists, whether they be students, mothers, law enforcement, anyone really, trying to give them a platform to speak to a crowd that and give them a way to get involved, way to educate themselves, and should be a blast. We're going to have...
Who are the 2 representatives you mentioned? What are their names?
Representative Jeff Irwin, who is Ann Arbor's Democratic representative for Ann Arbor, and Michael Calton from Nashville, which I believe is Berry County. So Representative Calton has introduced a bill to the Provisioning Center Act, 4271. And Jeff Irwin, he's worked alongside the community in Ann Arbor quite a bit, and we've introduced the decriminalization bill. He's working on reducing civil asset forfeiture laws, and they're both really pretty great allies to the community. And Jeff Irwin's been showing great leadership in tackling this issue and bringing it up and spurring the dialogue around it.
Great reporting.
And we are all big fans of Jeff Irwin, and he's a admitted fan of the show. No, it's going to be an exciting weekend. I know. While I've got you here, Nick, me try. We don't have really any pre-screeners, so I'm just gonna throw some guesses on. If your name's Ed this is Ed.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Please ask your question.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Ed Rosenthal, how are you, sir?
Okay, Rick, can you hear us?
Yeah, we sure can. Is Ed on the line with us now?
Yeah, we're good. I'm traveling into Ann Arbor right now, speeding along the freeway to get to the show.
Well, Ed, I heard that you're with Rory Gould. That was his voice we heard just a second ago. And I believe we still have Nick Zetell from the Hash Bash live on the line as well. Ed, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing on Friday and the seminar you're going to be holding.
The seminar is called Spring Tune-Up, and it's about different ways to increase the yield in your garden in the Michigan area. And, in Michigan, you can grow some really great marijuana outdoors during the summer, but if you use specialized techniques, you'll have an increased yield and also have better quality. And that's what I'm going to be talking about.
Now, this is a continuation of an annual event. You've been giving lectures in Michigan before Hash Bash for several years now. Is that correct?
This will be a grand total of 2. So,
2 qualifies as several.
I was here when Oaksterdam University held a few sessions here. I was here at one of those.
So, you, Ed, I remember meeting you last year at Hash Bash, which was a wonderful event. And this is Mike, by the way. I know you have a theory in terms of like the involvement of what we've come to know and love as the caregivers of medical marijuana. Do you see them remaining as the persons that are going to play a significant role in the evolution of cannabis and cannabis reform? In other words, the trend is obviously to reform prohibitions in more medical states, and that's the direction. Do you see the end game here being one that has individuals growing marijuana for this marketplace, or do you see a world that involves large companies that have taken over this involvement? He may have dropped off. That was a good question. Oh, here he might be back now.
Back.
Are you back? Okay, back. Did you hear the question? Ed.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Hi. Are we back?
You're back.
We're back on the air.
I was asking about.
The other thing is, I'm looking forward to being at Hash Bash and giving my opinion about things in 6 minutes. Last year I was talking about how marijuana was truly a miracle medicine, because I was in Colorado on the night when it was made legal there on election eve, and I found I no longer needed a doctor or anything like that I had been cured. And so this year I'll talk about something as important as that, and I think that what we're doing is really important, because nobody should go to jail for marijuana. Nobody should live in fear of the state because of it. And it's our bulwark of freedom against tyranny.
Well said. I did want to ask you this. You've been disconnected.
What's the question?
Question is, with the future of reform of marijuana and more states becoming medical marijuana, do you envision a world that will have individual caregivers, the suppliers of that marketplace, or do you see the trend being towards a more centralized growing type of operations to supply the marketplace?
Well, in my book, Marijuana Growers Handbook, I talk about the tomato model. And if you look at tomatoes, more tomatoes are grown in the United States by home growers than commercially. But then if you look at the commercial growers, some of them are just over the backyard fence, and some of them are small farmers, and then there are large farmers, and then there are international companies that are involved in it. And I think that that's sort of what the marijuana model is going to be like, in that there's going to be room for all different sized companies and all different ways of procuring marijuana, from the farmer's market to something produced by a national or international company.
Okay.
And of course, more marijuana will be grown by home growers than will be grown commercially.
Do you think that'll be? Do you think that that's how it will end up?
Yes.
Whose interests are going to be? I mean, I like what you're saying. My question is, do you believe that that's a good government policy, or do you think that that's what they should do, or do you think that they will do that?
Well, I don't think that the government has a policy of encouraging home growers of tomatoes, but people certainly do it a lot, don't they? It doesn't have to be government policy. It's just what's allowed. And I think that you cannot have legalization without having personal cultivation.
I agree with you. I'm just wondering if that's where, if that is and listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate with you because I'm curious to know how we get there, because my impression, I think it's the hardest challenge of it, that the federal government has the, the wild card on this. At any point in time they could declare it Schedule 2. That's not going to help anybody. And I would agree they would have to take it to the place of it being the equivalent of a vegetable or tomato, in which case you wouldn't have those issues. I agree, but there's a lot of...
Wait a second. Let's go back for a second. It's game over. In an interview, Obama said that marijuana was less harmful than alcohol. He said that in an interview that was published in the New Yorker. The game is over. Now it's a question of fighting the criminal justice system, because there's a civil war going on within governments. Are the cops going to be the ones who are running this show, or is the civil government going to be running it? And in states like Colorado and California, it's become apparent that the cops are not going to play a part in this. That if it's civilly regulated, that the criminal justice system doesn't have, they're not part of civil regulation. And that's why they're fighting so hard against it. But at this point, for instance, in Colorado, the state has basically embraced it. And the cities in Colorado that have banned marijuana farms or dispensaries or shops, they're going to be feeling it economically, because they're not going to be getting that revenue. They're not going to have those employees there. They're not going to have that business as part of their community. And in 2016, California is going to legalize by initiative, because Jerry Brown, the governor, said that he is not going to sign a legalization bill. It's really good that he said that, because it's freed up the activists in California to not bother with the legislature and to work cooperatively directly on an initiative, which is going to win, because we have the demographics.
I'd like to take on that, and I hope it comes true. I mean, I think that's the issue. I mean, you don't disagree that there are that this is a discussion.
I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say you know. I mean, this is not a discussion you haven't heard before. As the federal government tax factor, clearly they tomato that. Not even talking about it anymore, and I would agree that that's a better way to do it. You know, you're not taxing or regulating tomatoes to the extent that the person could grow them in their backyard, use them, and give them to somebody else. Anyways, but I like your optimism, and I agree it's a losing battle, and I think you identified the people that are the person standing in the way. But what a great event, and I'm glad that the Hash Bash is back in play. Nick,
I think it's great.
Nick, tell the listeners what else they can expect over the weekend, some of the other events, what the Monroe Street Fair is going to look like, and...
Well, at the Hash Bash, there'll be the strippers for pot. You know about that, right?
What was that?
There'll be strippers for pot. And they're going to strip down to a few pot leaves. And certainly nobody wants to miss that. Even in this weather, they tell us that they're going to do it.
Nice.
And so I'm looking forward to that. And Robert Redford is flying in, right? Isn't he flying in tonight for this? I think he's flying in tonight. I just
Who is
heard
that?
about it. Robert Redford. Never heard of him having anything to do with pot or related to it, but he's flying in for this event. And between those two things, I'm looking forward to a great event.
Yeah, it certainly should be a good time.
John Sinclair is actually here in Ann Arbor rather than in Amsterdam, even though they both start with A. I think that's great too. You know, so.
Yeah, we're excited. John will be, towards the front of the event. He'll have a few words to say for sure. He'll also be doing he'll be at the after party, the official after party at the Blind Pig, which starts at 8 o'clock, and that will have, I believe Adam Brooke will be there. Laith El-Sadi, who is also playing guitar at the Hash Bash, will be at the after party playing music.
And John is coming for the belly dancers, right?
Belly dancers?
For the belly dancers at the after show.
All right, take it easy, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Let's listen. So,
yeah, I think. Yeah.
All right, I think we want to get Charlie checked out.
Attorney John Trevik is speaking.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Nice.
And I do notice that we have Attorney Dan Crow in the queue. We're going to come back to him. Dan, stay with us here. Try to finish the exciting moment of this weekend with the Hash Bash. I'm going to try and find...
Yeah, so there are a few other things going on. So the city of Ann Arbor will be going crazy that weekend in general because they have their annual Full Moon, which is happening tomorrow night on Main Street, and then Festifools, which is a parade on Sunday. So Hash Bash is snug between those two. The Monroe Street Fair goes on just about all day, from about 11 until 6, and that is on Monroe Street, of course. That will be, a lot of great bands, a lot of great vendors.
Okay. I think you got them at the belly dancers.
All right, I think we might...
We were talking about the belly dancers.
Jump in, Charlie.
At the after party. Yeah.
Apparently there'll be belly dancers.
Yeah.
This weekend is also the annual Dance for Mother Earth powwow that's held by the Native American Student Association at University of Michigan. So that's also going to bring, thousands of Indians to the region as well. So it's an interesting mix that we've got going on this weekend.
Sherman, thank you very much.
And
we will be sending smoke signals from the Hash Bash.
Very
With
well.
the belly dancers, Ed?
Charlie, I was so happy you brought us...
We'll be sending smoke signals from the Hash Bash.
Okay. Excellent.
If I may plug one more thing, Students for Sensible Drug Policy tomorrow night from 5 to 8 is having their 4th annual art auction at the Canterbury House, right behind Rackham on East Huron in Ann Arbor. So that's the Canterbury House. So that's the local student drug policy reform group. I'll be playing guitar. There'll be some other entertainment. Should be a good time. So I just want to plug that.
Excellent. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. And again, thanks for putting on the event. We appreciate it. Look forward to a great Saturday. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Are you gone?
Charlie, do we have you on the line? Because I didn't want to. Charlie?
No,
I don't know. I don't think so. I thought so. It seemed like that may have been it. But this is what I think. I'm going to take a quick little break and then come back. I think we've got Dan stick with us. Attorney Dan Grow. We're going to be talking about entrapment and the path to the Supreme Court and what meaning it has. But we will be right back. The call number is 1-347-326-9626.